Good afternoon, and welcome to a review of episode 2 of My Stepmom's Daughter is... Sorry. My Stepmom's Daughter is My Ex. Now, after the first episode didn't really give us that much. It was just seeing how the storyline is more like domestic girlfriend vibe. And like, some people think that this is more like, is this going to lead to domestic girlfriend? Or we're going to have some vibes. Like, I feel like domestic girlfriend is more like the dark show. An analogy towards this one. Because if you look at My Stepmom's Daughter is My Ex, it's more, it's not heavy. By that logic, I'm talking about everything that domestic girlfriend has gone over the top. Like, straightforward, like, they're going boundaries beyond our imagination. In the storyline that is domestic girlfriend. But I look at this and I'm like, okay, the development of it may not be as civil as it is, but it's getting there. It's getting there. We're getting new characters. The storyline could be straight back and forth. It might lead to somewhat of an OMG moment. We might get that later on. We might get it later on in episodes, but we'll see. So episode 2 did give us something to talk about, like new characters and a little bit of this and that. But other than that, at least it gave us some information. By some information, I'm talking about the backstory. So without further ado, let's get right to the review of My Stepmom's Daughter is My Ex. Okay, so, this episode featured two characters. I'm gonna break it down for a bit. You got one guy who's Minami. He's self-proclaimed, and I put quotes, self-proclaimed best friend to Mitsuto. And the thing about Mitsuto, this is why. Something about Mitsuto, something about him, it's just weird. It's just weird about him. Last week and this week, he has that straight face. He has that, okay, so what? All right. He has that straight face. But deep down inside, he still has feelings for Yume. Despite being step siblings, even though it's kind of weird, but still deep down in his core, he still likes Yume as a step sibling, but not a relationship. Then you look at this other girl named Minami. Now Minami is Yume's best friend. Like, that's the actual that's an actual best friend. Minami is like she is so positive with herself. Like, because at one scene when they do a fitness test, she's like, I'm flat chested, you're D cup, all that stuff. She is open up. I like her. I really do. She's athletic. She's not afraid to speak up. She's a really good friend to Yume. She's a really good friend. And she doesn't even care about like at all. Better than Yume. She just want to be friends with Yume. And that's the thing. Again, this episode did show there's two characters, but they're all like being friends towards people. Being friends between Mitsuto and Yume. So I get that. So, and we had a training montage. Okay, so what? But leave it up to, like, when Yume's about to pass out, Mitsuto came in. It's like, you look after her, and then and they started building. And Minami and Yume had this friendship. The bond is there, so it's there. That was the first half. Now we get to the second half. This is where it gets interesting in the second half of this show. Sorry, I hesitated for a bit. Anyway, Yume's sick. Quote, sick. So Minami insists of going to Mitsuto and just, take care of her. Now, if you guys remember, when you're sick, you get hallucinated. You're all blurry like this. You see a little image, like a little blurriness, and say, yes, hold my hand, all that shit. That's what she was. Quote. But again, Minami was there, and Minami and Mizuto were trying to cook. They were cooking, and she brought up questions like, what if, do you have a girlfriend? What if you brought your girlfriend here? She was asking questions. And in those moments, I'm like, is she going to find out that these two used to date? Are they going to find out? Have they dated before? I feel like she's getting closer to solving those answers, because she could read her mind. Mizuto all like, oh, I don't care. Do I look like a guy I want a girlfriend now? He's straight face. He has no intention for that. Yume, on the other hand, is trying to force me to say, I still have feelings for you. Still waiting for an opportunity to go through, by the way. And then when Mitsuto, and then after Minami left, he stayed in Yume's room, decided to hold hands. And that's when we got a flashback. Now, again, I was actually waiting last week. I was like, we got to get our developments going on. We got to see the storyline of how these two got together and how it ended up breaking up. So we saw this, and we saw how both of them got together. This was when they were in middle school, by the way. We saw them, going out. He took care of her when he was sick. Just a regular youth relationship. But then they broke up due to minor reasons. Minor reasons. That right there, I'm like, really? Really? What minor reason? What minor reasons for those two to break up? Like, okay, if it's a major reason, like I don't know, a major reason will be something like, I have to break up with you because I'm seeing someone else. I have to break up with you because I'm moving far away. Something like that. They said they broke up due to minor reasons. They broke up due to minor reasons. So I'm like, what is the minor reason for this? So y'all broke up, and then one day, you sat down. I mean, you and your father, Mizuto and his father, was waiting to see. Well, he was getting remarried, and then you realized, oh, you're the like, they don't want to say it. In that moment, they didn't want to say to their parents. Like, they didn't want to say it because it's it's weird. It's weird. Think about it, guys. How would you feel if you and your father got remarried, and then you realize you got a stepmom, but the girl that you was dating before is now your ex. So, and you decided not to, and then will you, in that first encounter, would you tell them straight in your face, tell it to Yume's mother, or tell it to Mizuno's father and say, like, I can't do it. No, this girl I used to date. Would you say that? That's what I'm trying to say. Would you say that? Exactly. That's my point. That's my point. See? So So exactly that is, again, the backstory kind of makes sense now. It makes sense somewhat. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So Yume, she likes holding hands, she liked holding Mizuto hands, but then it was that thermometer thing. And I think what they did was try not to go domestic girlfriend route. And I'm going to tell you why. Remember domestic girlfriend when Ruri was sick? There was a censored version and the uncensored version of it. And if you look at the uncensored version, this guy, he grabbed the pill and put it in Ruri's butt. And they didn't like show it out with it, but that they show what's happening. What was happening. In this part, he grabbed the thermometer and said, raise your hands. He's like, no! And I think people was like, what happened? Like, did she actually raise her hands up? Put it right here? Did he put it right here? Like, what did he do to her? Like, what did he do with the thermometer? Like, they said raise your hand. Like, what happened? But it turns out she was faking it. Just faking it. And this is why I said sick quote, because she was just sick. Ain't no fucking way. See, she was pretending to be sick. The only reason she was pretending to be sick was because for Mitsuto to like get closer. Now, Mitsuto is playing the stepbrother trump card. He is playing. See, it's like there's two cards he in his hands. He could go with the sibling card, or go in that domestic girlfriend card, or I could say this, the non-existing card, meaning, okay, you're my ex, but you're my step sibling. I gotta deal with it, and let's just forget about everything that's happened. He's playing that non-existent card, but then you have another card. He's like, I'm still your stepsis. I'm still your step sibling. Like it or not, I'm your brother. Deal with it. And he kept it with a straight face. He's like, I'm happy that we're step siblings. But for Yume's part, Yume is like, she's a confused girl. To me, in my opinion, she's just confused. I mean, like, I understand the role of what she's trying to do, playing that role of, hey, I need you to cave. I want you to say, you love me, you have feelings for me. She waiting for that moment. So it's all about who's going to cave. Yume just did everything she just did. Like this episode, just fake sickness just to get close. Just to see how his reaction is. But he doesn't care. Just like in fitness class, he doesn't care. When he did like the setups, he's like, okay, I'm done. See, he doesn't care. That's the game. So I think I'm not sure if he put on an act, but after watching the last two, I think he's not, because to him, it's like, okay, you're my stepsibling, okay. I don't care if we was dating in the past, but that's in the past. That's what, but that speaks to how I see it. But again, this was better than the last week's episode, because this week's episode, we got a little bit of development in the process of it all. We got a little bit of development, so that's a good thing. Now, I understand this is mediocre at best. I get it. This is a slow-pacing rom-com situation. It's slow-pacing. How many rom-com animes have you seen that has a slow-pacing thing? And don't say it's ecchi. It is not ecchi. I don't think it's not that. It's not ecchi. It's not ecchi. Come on. If they would have showed etchiness, they would have showed all of it. But they're not that clever. They ain't that clever. But again, this episode was really good. It has a little bit of development going on. And introducing two characters right off the back. So I hope we get to see the other girl that's appearing in next week's episode. Let's see her. Let's see her side of the story. And who knows? It might lead to, judging by this episode and judging by further episodes, we might get into like a love triangle or jealousy between two characters, between the two MCs. We'll see how that works. So I look forward for next week's episode of My Stepmom's Daughter is My Ex. See you next week.